About 20 weeks ago, Nick and I were talking about how the Steelers ever tied the Browns in Week 1 of the NFL. But now, 20 weeks later, it is February 3rd, Super Bowl Sunday between the Rams and the Patriots that are getting ready to kick off in about 3 hours or so. But before we get all the fun Super Bowl jazz, Nick, you want to talk about some NHL and college football stuff. Let's jump right into it here at Keystone and More. Nick, what do you want to talk about?
So I want to get some NHL and college basketball here early on this Sunday. So I want to cover yesterday's hockey. Flyers took on the Oilers in overtime. Flyers they won their 7th straight game. They made a big comeback in overtime against the Edmonton Oilers. I was there to attend it. Great game to attend. Later in the night on national television, the Lightning took on the Rangers. Lightning would win that game at 3-2, and Kucherov would get his 80th point of the year. Islanders would beat the Kings on the other side of town at the Barclays, winning 4-2. Pulak getting 3 assists in the Islanders' win. The other team from Pennsylvania, the Penguins, would go up to the Great White North to play the Leafs, and they would lose that game 3-2. The Maple Leafs would win. The Devils would also go up to the Great White North to take on the Canadiens. Heathshire would score twice, and the Devils would win in overtime 3-2. James Reimer would have 34 saves, and the Panthers would win down on the beach against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Red Wings would win their 3rd straight against the Senators 2-0, and that covers for the Eastern Conference. In the West, the Jets would score 6 in the first period, 9 in total. They would win 9-3 against the Ducks. The Canucks, 10 different players putting up points. They would win 5-1 versus the Avalanche. Sharks would win 3-2 as they are now 2nd in the Pacific. Blackhawks on national television would win 4-3 against the Wild. They would score Gustafsson would score twice, including the winner. Blues would beat the Blue Jackets as the Tarasenko had a 3-point night, and the Stars would be the Predators as Janmark and Vaska had a 3-point night. So that's all to cover that. And then college basketball. We're getting to a pretty pivotal time of the year, as you know. No, they did not. They lost? No, today they didn't play them. They didn't play. That's a rerun. But see, Villanova would win today versus Georgetown. Yesterday, Duke beat St. John's. Big win them for Duke. Virginia Tech beat NC State 47-24. NC State, minimal points on the board. And number 1 ranked Tennessee beat Texas. So, that's about all I have for college basketball.
Now we move probably to the main bulk of this podcast. Super Bowl Sunday, New England Patriots versus the LA Rams. This is a throwback to an older Super Bowl that we had earlier in the 2000s era, but now we have a lot younger Jared Goff and a lot older Tom Brady, who's more experienced. This is going to be a very interesting Super Bowl as both teams have had their ups and downs. More so for New England Patriots as they were 11-5, and the Rams 13-3. Both teams, I think New England has a slight edge over this in Atlanta right now. Coming into this game, we have Tom Brady, who has 65% completion rating with 4,355 yards, 29 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. As Goff has 64 completion rating, 4,688 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. What is going to be your key factor on how both teams will win this game?
So the Rams win this game if they can stop Tom Brady. It's something the Falcons did for one half. Some of the Eagles didn't do it all, and the Eagles just got really lucky. But the Falcons did it for one half, and they were up by 25 at the end of that half, and then they blew it. So that's on the Falcons. But if the Rams can stop Tom Brady for the whole game, they will win this game. I can promise you that. On the other hand, the Patriots are facing a lethal running attack and a passing attack that can be stopped pretty easily in Jared Goff. Never played in this big of a stage. I guess the NFC Championship, but this is the Super Bowl. Okay, he's never played in this big of a stage against the number 1, probably the best player of all time, and the best coach of all time, arguably. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I think that's the 2 keys I think that both these teams need to win tonight, which one of them is going to win in about 6 hours. One of them is going to be holding a trophy in their hand, and the other one's going to be playing golf tomorrow at their local country club.
I definitely agree with you. I think the thing to watch if you're an LA fan or if you're the LA Rams is how you play on defense. If you've looked at what Brady's good at, he's good at destroying zone defenses. And you've seen that with Pittsburgh. The reason why Pittsburgh didn't win a game in like 7 years against New England is they always went zone. Brady's always picked that apart. They did that against Kansas City. Picked apart that zone defense. If you're the Rams, you got to put pressure on Brady. Force him to throw ill-advised passes. For the tip drill, for interceptions, that's what you got to do. You got to go tight man to man. cover everyone. Double team Gronk if you need to, because he's going to definitely be a huge factor in this game. Edelman has been a trusty wide receiver for Brady. He's going to be a big attack that you need to watch out for. So if you're in LA, do not go zone. Always go man and put pressure up on LA, but don't on Brady. But don't be like the Falcons who put up so much pressure they were gassed in the second half. Put up enough pressure that you can stop Brady and this attack. If you're the Patriots side, yes, definitely cover that run defense, that running game. Todd Gurley's been outstanding this year with 17 touchdowns and 1,200 yards this year. This is going to be a lethal attack, and if you can stop them, then that's going to be great. You definitely have a chance of winning. But another thing you have to stop is Sam Darnold in the running attack. Aaron Darnold, my bad, in this running attack, because he is a force to be reckoned with. If you're and this offensive line for the New England Patriots hasn't been great this year, and if you can protect Tom Brady off this defensive line, I think you'll have a really good chance at winning this game.
I agree.
Definitely. This game will be at 6:30 on CBS. Let's see. Both teams. What was in your opinion? What was your most impressed win by both these teams?
For the Rams. Okay. Okay. I gotta be honest with you. Gotta look back. For the Patriots, definitely, I think the Chiefs win. When you look back at the whole schedule, the Chiefs win is pretty impressive when you look at what the Chiefs end up doing, which is, obviously dominate the league, have such a great year. I think that Chiefs win, even though it happened a bit earlier in the year, when you look back at it, does look really impressive. And for the Rams, we're looking for best overall win here. You know what? That Vikings win, Thursday Night Football. Vikings did not make the playoffs. I understand that. But that was a big win early in the year. We didn't know if the Rams were the real deal. We'd seen them beat 3 teams who at the time, none of them were considered that great. And then they go and they beat the Vikings, who everybody thought was, the be-all and end-all of defenses. And they went on and beat the Vikings. And that was such a huge monumental win for them. And then obviously later in the year, beating the Chiefs, that was a big one for them. And then they lost to Philadelphia and Chicago, which if they'd won either of them, I would have easily considered them even better. But I think at the time, the Minnesota one was just so monumental for their season.
I'm going to go with you with the Kansas City one. Kansas City going into that game was just one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Everyone viewed Patrick Mahomes as a god. And going in, you had that home field advantage. You took advantage of it. It was a high-scoring game, but you still came out with the win, and that was a great team win. Another thing that I know this wasn't a regular season game, but I think New Orleans, in that championship game, you're going into a very loud stadium. Drew Brees could be up for grabs for the MVP, and for me, that would be very intimidating. But Goff came in there, kept his composure. Yes, there was a very controversial call, but Brees still had his chance in overtime through that pick, and by then Goff just had the composure, drove down the field, and that was a great team win for the Rams going into the Super Bowl. For New England, I don't know. They all had good team wins. I like Green Bay. I know Green Bay didn't have their year this year. They just didn't look good. But it's still Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. And going in, getting that win at home is definitely a good win. You can even argue the Bears going into Chicago, and that was at the height of their streak. Going in, getting that win, and subduing the Chicago fans. That was probably a big win if you're a New England fan. For you, what do you think a key of concern for each team?
Okay, so I think for the Rams, a big key is going to be, I guess minus of a key is going to be, hey, you guys have never played on this big of a stage. None of you have. I mean, yes, Aqib Talib, but most of that team is very young, very inexperienced. Now, I guess you could say, well, remember when they beat the Cowboys? Remember when they beat the Saints? Okay, first off, the Cowboys is the Cowboys. I'm not going to be impressed until someone can prove me the Cowboys can make an NFC Championship game. You know what I mean? And for the Saints are a very hard team to beat. I will admit that was very impressive. But, I mean, if that's the Rams team that comes out today, they're going to lose by 30 points. Mm-hmm. So it needs to be a better team today. And that's what experience gives you. It gives you that edge that the Patriots are going to have in the experience category. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And a minus for the Patriots. This is a tough one. I mean, it's like all around they have just a great team. But Jared Goff has got an insane arm, okay? We have to understand that. He has an arm that can go 50, 60, 70 yards, So if that secondary underestimates him, which is something the Patriots never do, they never underestimate anybody. But if they somehow do, Jared Goff is going to shred that defense apart.
Okay. Yep, definitely. I think if you're a key of concern, if you're something to look for if you're in the Rams, definitely how well does Jared Goff play in this type, and this is a young team. But he hasn't showed signs of weakness yet in this postseason. He stayed strong against the Cowboys and against the Saints. That's something to look forward to. But if you're something to look forward to is this defense, how you played Gronk, because you let Gronk go out and have a monster game, you're gonna lose that game. Same thing with Julian Edelman. Again, you have to put pressure up on Brady. I can't express this enough. That's how you beat New England. You put pressure on them, they're going to lose this game. They're going to get messy. And they're a well-coached team, obviously with arguably one of the best coaches in the NFL. But they just work hard. Everyone's worried, and this is something that I know I'm a Steelers fan, and I don't like the Patriots because they're like an AFC. But putting all bias aside, the reason why New England has been in the Super Bowl for so many years, they just outwork every single team in the NFL. No one works as hard as New England Patriots. No one works as hard as Tom Brady. That's why Tom Brady is arguably one of the best players to ever play this game. You have to work hard against Brady. You got to overwork Brady. You got to work harder than Brady. That's the way to win this game if you're the LA Rams. And for New England, obviously you got to find weak spots in this Rams defense. Tire them out because they have a lethal defensive line that will get sacks on Brady. They will rush the quarterback, I bet you. And if this offensive line, if they play the way we saw them play in the middle half of the year, which was terribly, then Tom Brady's going to have a long night. He's going to have to force to throw slants. And knowing Sean McVay, they're going to adjust to that and then jump the line and get many interceptions off that. So you got to find a way to subdue this Rams defensive line.
Agree. Definitely some good points there for both these teams.
Yesterday, we're going to move on to what happened yesterday. NFL honors were yesterday. Some of it was a little bit surprising, mostly not. I'm going to give you my opinions first. So we had MVP Patrick Mahomes, Offensive Player of the Year Patrick Mahomes, Defensive Player, I think it was Aaron Darnold. Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year was Saquon Barkley. Who was Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Very good question. I did not watch the honors.
I didn't either. I don't know who the Defensive Rookie of the Year is, but it's probably someone good. Do I agree with this? I certainly do. I certainly agree with almost every single thing. One thing that and a comeback player of the year, sorry, it was Andrew Luck. I agree with every award that was there, except for maybe the MVP. I think Patrick Mahomes should have won Offensive Player of the Year, and Drew Brees should have won MVP of the year. I think Drew Brees had an insane season coming back from that heartbreaking loss against Minnesota in the divisional round and coming back to play the way he did. Heartbreaking loss again against LA, but the way he played with his team this whole year, I think was insane. He should have won the MVP.
Okay, I see where you're coming from with that, and it makes a decent amount of sense. But then you look at Mahomes. Okay, he's a second-year player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he can't win any of those rookie awards. So that takes all of them out. But then you look at Mahomes, right? And you say, okay, this guy was a second round pick or third round pick from Texas Tech University, which is not a football powerhouse. Texas, the state, the actual state itself is a powerhouse state for football. But Texas Tech is not the school we think of when we think of Texas. We think of Texas when we think of Baylor. We don't think of Texas Tech. So he comes from a smaller football school, and he goes to the Chiefs, second, third round pick. He's a backup to Alex Smith. And then he comes in, and he dominates. And everybody says, well, he's amazing, but is he amazing enough? Is he the real deal? Is he going to get them over the hump, right? Mm-hmm. And gets into the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs have yet to beat the AFC Championship game, which I think is even the most impressive part. Is yes, taking the Saints to the NFC Championship game is impressive enough. But if it was my vote, I'm still voting for Mahomes because I don't like how the Saints and this fan base and all they do is complain and complain and complain and complain and complain and complain. It's been 2 weeks now. I think they had a riot today in the city of New Orleans. It's been 2 weeks since they lost that game.
That was a very controversial call right there. And that's just not the Saints. That happened to LA. That would happen in LA. That any city.
It would not happen in LA because LA doesn't have a fan base, so it would not happen in LA.
Any city that would happen.
LA got screwed just as much as New Orleans. They just didn't talk about it because LA doesn't have the big sports-based exposure to talk about it. I don't know if you saw it, but there was an obvious face mask. First and goal would have been a touchdown for the Rams. The Rams would have sealed it right there. Game over. But no, they had to do the play again and again, and then they finally got the touchdown. But the point is, they still got screwed. The Rams got screwed multiple times in that game, just as much as the Saints. You just can't complain about it for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
No one does. You can complain about it for like a week, and then like just talk about it on Twitter and in bars for the rest of the world. But don't riot. Don't riot for after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The first day, I understand it. 2 weeks is ridiculous. And that's not just the fans. That's the players, too. The players are still complaining. That's BS. They should all be suspended for 3 games. But that will never happen.
Yeah, no, that won't happen. I've gotten a lot of texts. I know I live in Connecticut, and it's a prime New England spot here. But I know a lot of Cleveland Browns fans, and they were very upset that Baker Mayfield didn't win the Rookie of the Year. Am I surprised? No, I don't think Baker Mayfield should have won that Rookie of the Year. He exceeded expectations. I didn't think he was the quarterback to come in and completely fail like RG3 did and Johnny Manziel did. I thought he'd be helpful for the Browns. I thought they would win a couple games, and he did just that. Was he good enough to win the Rookie of the Year? No, because he didn't go above expectations. If he would have made it to the playoffs, if he would have maybe beaten some high-end teams like maybe the Steelers or the Patriots or something like that, or the Chiefs, that's where I would say, okay, maybe he has the talent, and especially for a first-year player.
See, Millan, I agree with you. If you are the number 1 overall pick in your draft, you can't. Okay, if you are the number 1 overall pick in your draft, which he was the number. I don't know how he was, but he was, right? And he was the best quarterback, I believe, this year, besides maybe Lamar Jackson. And I'm not counting him because he wasn't even a lottery pick.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you're the number 1 overall pick in your draft, you can't just play. Like, he didn't even play the first 5 games of the year, okay? And that if I'm a voter, that gives me something. You didn't even start. Your coach didn't have enough confidence in you to start. Now, obviously, we now know there was definitely some tensions going on there, between Baker and Hugh. I don't know what it was. We just know there was something because it's like ESPN's been covering it for a while. All the outlets have been covering it for a while. But here's the thing: Saquon Barkley played every game this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he played all 16 games, and he was consistently good in all 16 games. I did not. I saw a few bad games from Baker. Okay, I did. I saw a few bad games from Baker, and he didn't even play all the games. To play 16 games and to be good in every single one is a very, very impressive feat. Okay, especially as a running back,
Mm-hmm.
where you don't really have nearly as many options as the quarterback. Because Baker was he didn't play all the games. He wasn't consistently good. Saquon played all the games. He was consistently good. If I'm a voter, I'm giving it to Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
And Saquon was also the number 2 pick. Baker was the number 1 pick.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that. And Saquon just played so much better. He had most scrimmage yards as a rookie, probably breaking the record. Going back to things that you could be watching for this Super Bowl, I'm going to make the argument that the 2 keys or the 2 people to watch in this game is going to be Greg Zuerlein and Steven Gostkowski. Because games will be won and lost by missing an extra point in this game. And we've seen it happen in the past.
Yes. I mean, we've seen Vinatieri give the Patriots a few Super Bowls. We've seen him give them Super Bowl clinches. We've seen them give him, actual titles. We've seen him, we've seen Vinatieri do a lot of things for the Patriots organization. Now it's Gostkowski, and he's done very similarly, he's also done very good, in clinching big titles. And kicking has become such an issue now because they pushed back the PAT, which has just added to the drama and the effect, which is when people say, oh, the NFL is going to die in 20 years. Like, no, it's not, okay? Because the NFL does things like this that get people intrigued. When people see a kicker make a PAT, they're kind of like, oh, okay, that's usual. That's how it's supposed to work. When they see him miss a PAT, they're like, oh, this is going to be a fun one, And then you lose by 1 point and you miss the PAT. Oh, guess what? You just lost because you missed a kick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree. I think kickers before this year, I think last year, we're not talking about kickers. For the Eagles and the Patriots, we're not talking about kickers. But for this one, we are.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams got into the Super Bowl
because
with kickers.
Yep.
So, and the Patriots have been historically known since the beginning of this dynasty to have big kicks to get them into big games.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I personally think the coaching matchup between the longest tenured and youngest coach in the league is going to be a more interesting matchup. I think seeing the oldest quarterback and oldest quarterback in the league, and one of the new faces of the league face off is going to be very interesting.
Yep.
And so, I mean, that's kind of what I think. I think this is very similar to last year's matchup in terms of coaching, in terms of quarterbacking, in terms of, experience versus inexperience. And last year we saw an inexperienced Philadelphia team take down the dynasty somehow. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. So I don't see why it can't happen again this year.
Yeah, and going back to the kicking thing, I think it's going to be very interesting because you will see, like, it will happen in games where you'll see kicker miss an easy 32-yard field goal, and then you have a 54-yard field goal to win the game. And that's the reason why we watch football. You missed a 32-yard field goal, but you have a 52-yard to win the game, and that's what put people on edge, and that's how you win games. And going back to the coaching matchups, we're definitely going to see some trick plays called by Belichick. We've seen it happen before with the I don't even know what to call it. I'm just blanking. We see when the third play of this game that happened against Pittsburgh, these different trick plays. You might even see a Philly special in there. You never know. But this is something that Belichick has up his sleeve. He has many trick plays, and that's gonna probably be the reason why if New England wins, then that's probably gonna be the reason there's those trick plays. And Sean McVay has to know that Belichick isn't just an old coach that goes old school. Belichick is a mastermind at this game. He's been in the league for over 12 years now. He's gonna put something that we've never seen before. At all.
That's the thing with Belichick. He might seem old. He might seem like he's out of it, but he has these coaches. He has these assistants, and these assistants are young, and they're new, and they know all the little things that you're supposed to know. So he has these guys like Josh McDaniels that know these things, that know what guys like McVay and Peterson are thinking, and he asks McDaniels, he'll ask his other assistants, he'll be like, what should I do? What play are we going to run? Belichick does rely on his assistants more than it seems. That's why he takes such pride in picking specific people to be his assistant. That's why he takes such pride in raising these assistants to become head coaches and fail somewhere. That's why he takes such pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, I mean, what's his name? Pencil in the ear guy in Detroit has been an epic failure.
Patricia.
Yeah, Matt Patricia. And Detroit has been a failure. If he had stayed with New England, he's in the Super Bowl again. Instead, he's 6-10 and freezing his ass off instead of being, 11-5,
Mm-hmm.
and in the warm Atlanta winter right now, taking on the Rams in the Super Bowl in just 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Quickly before we're gonna probably wrap this up, just because I've got a lot of things to do, and I'm sure you do too. Before we get to the bowl predictions, do you believe in the Super Bowl white jersey curse? For people who don't know what that is, excluding last year, for the past couple of years, whoever's won the white jerseys won. So before the Eagles game, the Eagles Super Bowl, the year before that, New England wore the white jerseys against Atlanta, and New England won. Before that, I don't know who was in the Super Bowl before that.
Panthers and Broncos. Right?
Panthers and Broncos. The Broncos wore the white jerseys, and the Broncos won. Before that, Seahawks and Patriots. Seahawks wore the blue. New England wore the white, and New England won. Other than that, last year, I mean, New England wore the white, and they lost. But it's a recurring theme that's happened. Do you believe in this?
I mean, okay, there's certain things that seem too obvious, but I feel like if it's broken, it's broken. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's been broken, it's done. Okay, it has to restart. The curse has to restart. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, no. I actually think the Rams have a good shot at this game. And to be honest, the Rams have the nicer jerseys in this game. I think those jerseys they wear, the royal blue, is maybe the nicest jersey in the league. I would love to get one of those. They are some of the I think the nicest jersey in the league by far.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we'll see what happens. I'll have my prediction out in a sec, but I do think that both these teams have a very good shot, and it's very hard to predict. Even though it seems so obvious, it's really not.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that come down. I mean, on paper, when people first see the Super Bowl, oh, Patriots, Rams, wow, Patriots are going to win this game. No. It's way more complicated than that, coming down to little nitty-gritty stuff. We're going to make predictions right now. But before this, MLB is going to be starting soon, so Nick and I will be covering that. Hopefully I'll be able to go to the Stadium Series, and we'll make a vlog about that. Probably, I don't know about if Nick's free tomorrow. We'll probably make a Super Bowl recap, a quick video about that tomorrow afternoon. But now we will make our picks of the Super Bowl
Yeah, and
predictions.
just one more thing. When he says we're going to cover the MLB, we are going to have like an intensive video on it. It'll be like a midweek podcast, practically 45 minutes almost, probably just talking about each division, breaking down each team, and that will probably be within the next
What
next.
Yeah, next couple of weeks, just as pitchers and catchers report and full squad reports.
Yeah, so probably the weekend of the Stadium Series, the weekend before or after. So yeah,
Definitely like that. So for Super Bowl, who's gonna win, score, and MVP?
you want me to go first?
Yes, go first.
So I'm going to go with the LA Rams winning this game. I think they're going to win this. It's going to be a nail breaker, nail breaker, right? Nail biter. It's going to be a nail biter. 27-24 win for the Rams. And the kicker, Greg Zuerlein, who hit a 49-yard field goal to win the game against the Saints in the NFC Championship game, will once again hit a field goal. But it will not be a 49 yards. It will be of 9 yards. Yeah.
9.
A 9-yard field goal. I don't know. I don't even think it's possible. Never mind. So he's going to hit a 19-yard field goal. He's going to hit a 19-yard field goal. Nice little chip shot to win the game. And Pats are going to get the ball back. They're going to run down the field. They're going to be on the goal line. And Bill Belichick, before this game, apparently didn't watch his previous meeting in the Super Bowl versus the Seahawks. I don't know what that's all about. And Brady he takes a pass. And this guy named Butler Malcolm, who just joined the team today, picks it off, and like it's amazing. It's crazy. The point is, Rams win 27-24, and our MVP is Todd Gurley III because he got 2 touchdowns in this game. It was insane.
Definitely. Okay. Interesting. I mean, I'm as much as I want the Rams to win, I'm gonna go on the other side with you. I'm gonna go with New England winning this game, 35-28. I think it'll be again a nail biter coming down to the wire. I think both teams are gonna play well. But again, you can't count out Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. He plays his best in the fourth quarter. And of course, if the Rams do what I think they will do and put pressure up on Brady, they're going to be gassed just like Kansas City was. I think Tom Brady's been hot. I think he's too hot right now, especially in the postseason. I think Tom Brady will win his 6th. I think he will be the MVP, and I think it will be 35-28. Not saying the Rams don't have a chance. I do think they have a really good chance, and I want the Rams to win. But I think Brady.
You think the Patriots tie your record?
I do think so. I hope they don't, but I do think that's what's going to happen tonight.
Okay.
I think they're the better team in this game, especially with experience. Experience is everything in this game.
It is.
It's a completely different stage.
Last year we saw that it's not. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's always outliers in the data. I think you have to learn. I think, okay, here's what I think. I think, yes, experience matters to a point. I think whoever can adapt to the Super Bowl atmosphere better. Tom Brady knows how it feels, so he has a good time adapting to the pressure and everything that's about that. McVay and the young Rams team with Goff, they're new to this. They don't know. They've never been in this type of situation before. If they can adapt as well as Tom Brady can do, I think they have a really good chance. Agree. I think that's we're gonna wrap it up for right now. Look for tomorrow for a Super Bowl recap on who wins this game, and we will see you guys tomorrow.